Good afternoon. Welcome to Inside Indiana Sports Now with Kent Sterling. It's Tuesday, December 29th, 2020. We are brought to you by, as always, the great people at Today's Dentistry. Dr. Mike O'Neill, the best dentist I've ever gone to, the only dentist I've gone to the last 27 years. You are going to love it there. Dental work at its finest. 317-849-2933 is the number. Let's talk about sports. Pacers, a huge game tonight at Bankers Life Fieldhouse against the Celtics. Win this one, you push your record to 4-0. Whoop, whoop, right? Purdue, they got a game tonight in Piscataway against Rutgers. Rutgers is nationally ranked. Yes, I said Rutgers is nationally ranked. You got to bank some wins in order to get to the NCAA tournament. And in the Big Ten, you're going to be able to do that. Most of the teams in the conference are ranked at this point. This is a hell of an opportunity for Purdue to get one of those wins. He needs Stefanovic to shoot the ball well. Hopefully he's able to do it. What do you need from the Pacers? I think we know what you need from the Pacers. You got to have Victor Oladipo healthy, playing well. You got to have Brogdon, Sabonis doing what they do. Sabonis, the Eastern Conference Player of the Week this past week, he averaged 27.4 points a game, 11 boards, and 7 assists, playing at an exceptionally high level. That's why the Pacers are 3-0. Colts, they got a game this weekend, a huge game against the Jaguars. Last regular season game for 2020. And if the Colts win this thing, they got a chance to go to the playoffs. If they lose, they're out. But if they win, and either the Dolphins, the Browns, the Ravens, or the Titans lose, the Colts are going to the postseason for the first time in a couple of years. Let's talk to the offensive coordinator of the Colts, the great Nick Sirianni. Nick, I wonder, you played the Jaguars in week 1. All right, from then to now, what have you learned? What do you understand maybe about your offense that you didn't at that point?
Yeah, I just think you figure out what you're good at, what your guys are good at. You just get a better feel and flow for what your guys can do, what they execute, what you have executed, and so you just build confidence in things, and then there's things that come off of that too, like, well, this, you marry things together too off of the things they're good at. So I just think you just get a better feel for all the players, especially the players you haven't seen before or seen in a while. And what they can do, and you build your game plans off of that.
Are there any plays from the Steelers game you'd like to get back?
Sure, I think you're always going to have that especially after a loss. You're going to always have that. They got us on a couple sacks, and to me, a couple of them were coverage sacks. A couple of them were coverage sacks. And they didn't do something we thought they were going to do. And of course, you're gonna look at the play like, man, I thought they were going to do this on that play. And then Philip, we talked about it all week. Phillips thought they were going to do this on this play too, and that's why he's getting ready to throw it. Oh no, they don't do what we thought. Boom, he moves in the pocket and he gets sacked. Well, of course, after something like that, when it hits, when something like that hits, you're all high-fiving and going crazy and like, man, I knew they were going to do that. It's just the way, it comes out different. I knew they were going to do that, and they did it, and we hit it in the face. But, I think about that one on the third down where, they did something a little bit different in coverage. And like I said, Philip looked at it. They didn't do what we thought they were going to do, and he moved and he got sacked, and we had to punt. And so, you look at a play like that. I think that was on 97's sack on Hayward's sack. And you look at a play like that and you say to yourself, man, I wish I would have given him one more option on this, or, had they, I wish I would have played that part out in my mind. Had they done this, I wish we would have had this to counter it. I think that's pretty natural. But that's part of getting better. And you don't want to have too many of those. Obviously that's unacceptable when you have too many of those. It's unacceptable when you have even one of them, but you use that and you grow from that, and you try to use it to get better.
Speaking of self-critiquing, is Frank Reich a little bit too hard on himself in that process?
No, he just is, just like he constructs. He gives himself feedback, right? And he's just trying to get better. And I think that's a great thing for a leader to do. because he wants us to do that too. He wants his team to do that. He wants the players on this team to give themselves feedback and get feedback from us of what they did right and what they did wrong. Because so you repeat the things that you do right and you don't do the things again that you did wrong. And it starts with him. It starts with us as coaches, and as far as the coaches go, it starts with him. And what, if he wants us to do that, he practices what he preaches. And I love that about Frank. He wants us to get better each day and give and have tough conversations and get better from our mistakes. Well, he's going to have to do that too. And he does. And that's just great leadership. I think that's exactly what that is. That's great leadership, because if you see your leader of the football team doing that, right, then you're going to do it because that's what he's leading the way to do so. And so, is he too hard on himself? I mean, there's times, right, that he'll say something to me because I think I'm probably the first one to hear, like, I should have done this or I should have done that. And there'll be times I'm just like, Coach, that was a good call. I like that call. And I won't go into the details of when that happens or where that happens or what play that's happened, but we've definitely had that conversation before. But I just can't say enough about Frank and how good of a leader he is, because that's what he wants us to do. And so he does it himself, and he leads by example. And that's why I believe we truly do get better each and every day. That's one of the reasons why I believe that truly actually happens.
Jonathan Taylor's got 10 touchdowns. As a rookie, is that kind of a special number? And what is it that has allowed Taylor to get there? Is it work ethic? Is it character? Is it athletic ability? What do you see as kind of the chief determining factor in his development?
Yeah, I don't know as far as, obviously scoring 10 touchdowns for anybody is going to be really, really outstanding. So, and so he's done a great job there of getting the ball in the end zone when he's had the opportunity to, particularly finishing with touches down in the red zone. And we know some of his touchdowns have come from out of the red zone too. So which speaks to his playmaking ability as an explosiveness. As far as Jonathan's work ethic and his desire and his football knowledge, all that, I think it's off the charts. I think, our scouts do a great job of just, digging deeper into the player. I think this is the best place I've ever been with just how much our scouts dig into the person, the player, and everything, and find out everything about that person. And they found out about Jonathan Taylor that he's not only a stud on the football field, he's a stud. The reason he's a stud on the football field because he's got great character and he's got great want to and desire to be great. And they knew that about him. And when you get a guy like that who's self-motivated and can gets himself better, he's just going to continue to raise his level of play. And that's what we've seen throughout the year with Jonathan. And he's playing great football right now. He's making some runs that he's had some runs this last month of the season that really, I'd have to say if I'm watching all the runs in the NFL, he's right up there with anybody else that's playing running back right now. So yeah, can't say enough about him and the way he's been playing and the way he's been preparing.
What would it mean for Taylor to get to that 1,000-yard milestone as a rookie? And are you going to kind of monitor the process on the sidelines? And if he gets close, try to get him there?
I think that's special for any player. And sure, we always want our players to reach those milestones. I mean, they work so hard. They in the classroom, they work so hard on the field. They work so hard in the weight room. And when we have opportunity to get guys those milestones, of course we want to do that, right? If we had to get a guy 100 catches, of course we want to do that. If we get 30 touchdown passes, 1,000 yards, all those things, we really want that to happen for these guys. I'm not sure that Jonathan Taylor wants it as much as I want it for him. So, and so obviously the first and most important thing is we're going to do what we need to do to win this football game. And if that means Jonathan Taylor ends up with 1,000 yards on the dot, then that's what it means. If it means he ends up with 1,200 yards, that's what it means. And we're going to do everything we can. We know what's at stake with this football game. We're going to do everything we can to win this football game. And if we can get him 1,000 yards on the way to the victory, that'll be awesome. And, to get a win and to get him 1,000 yards would be really cool for him. and for us as a staff.
When Taylor missed the blitz pickup where Rivers was sacked, is there anything that you guys can do to kind of coach him up and make sure that doesn't happen again? Or who made the mistake, and how do you make sure it doesn't happen again?
Yeah, there's a couple things that we can do as an offense. They first of all, let me just give them credit because they timed that blitz up perfectly. They got us. They got us. I mean, the blitz was timed up perfectly. If you look at the play, you see we had Jack Doyle running open, pretty open on the play. Not pretty open. He was wide open on the play. But they did a good job of executing their blitz and then disguising their blitz. We didn't see it, and so I think the first person that's going to see a blitz is Phillip. He'll be and that's anybody in the NFL. Nobody in the NFL is going to see a blitz faster than Phillip Rivers. It really is not. So, can Jonathan step to the left? That's an option. Instead of stepping to the right and then coming back around. I just think that. Well, you got to give the credit to the defense of sometimes they get you and sometimes they time it up perfectly. And Jonathan didn't see it until he had to step right and then came back left because he saw it late because they timed it up good. So we went through the process of what needed to happen there. There was about three things. I'm not going to go into detail of what those three things were, but there were three things that could have happened that, if we found ourselves in that situation again, that could happen. But if they time it up like that, I mean, most of those three things require you seeing it before it happens. And if they disguise it well like that, sometimes that's tough. And, we got to do a better job as coaches that if we're anticipating something like that to help our guys out. But a lot of credit to the Pittsburgh Steelers there. They're a good defense and they got us on that play.
Do you remind the players of the need to be consistent during a week like this in their preparation?
Will we remind them? Yes, because that's just what we do as coaches. But I think that the guys have a great feel of, hey, we need to go out and take care of our business and prepare. And just because of the way Frank runs his football team and the type of leaders that we have in that locker room.
How do you personally handle the noise during a weekend like this and during a game day like this, where there are going to be other things going on that are going to affect your ability to kind of guide your own boat into the playoffs or not?
If we're up big in the second half and I see it, someone would have to give it to me and someone would have to whisper it to me because all my focus is on Jacksonville and I'm not going to be paying attention to anything else other than that. I don't care what the score is. I don't care if it's 42-0, if it's 10-0, if it's 0-0, whatever. My focus is going to be on Jacksonville that entire game because we got to play a good football game. The Jacksonville plays us tough every time we play them, and they're a division game, and we got to go out and have a good game. So that's going to be completely up to somebody else if they know it and tell me because my focus is going to be on Jacksonville.
That's Nick Sirianni, offensive coordinator of the Colts. Colts Jaguars at 4:25 this Sunday at Lucas Oil Stadium. Pacers tonight, go Pacers. Boilers tonight, go Boilers. Hoosiers and Bulldogs tomorrow night. Huge week of sports. Can't wait to talk to you all about it tomorrow on Breakfast with Kent. Straight up at 8 o'clock on Facebook Live and at about 8:20 on Periscope and Twitter. All brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry.